Okay, so we're back to work on some reading skills. And if you worked on the exercises from the packet, you would find from me some extra practice for working with words that have vowel, consonant, silent E patterns. So we practice those because they will help you become a better reader. There are so many words that we read that have that vowel, consonant, E pattern. So I have a tip for you for practicing that will help you with your fluency. And remember, fluency is reading smoothly and quickly, both out loud and silently, so that you're not taking so long reading that you forget what you started reading at the beginning of the sentence by the time you get to the end of the sentence. So it's not about being a jackrabbit fast reader, but it is about being a reader who's reading at just the right pace to remember what you read so that you can learn the most from what you read. So a tip I have for you for practicing while you're becoming more solid at recognizing those vowel, consonant, E patterns would be to take a passage, and the passage I have here is Skull Cave, and we're just going to work with the title and the first two paragraphs. So what you could do is you could take your passage and a highlighter, and you want to look through the passage and highlight any word that has that vowel, consonant, E pattern. So I see this word, see A consonant, the consonant is V, and then that silent E. So I'm just going to highlight it. And I'm going to go through the rest of these first two paragraphs, and I'm going to look for any words that follow that vowel, consonant, E pattern. The one thing I do want you to be aware of, there's definitely going to be a couple in those first two paragraphs that follow a vowel, consonant, E pattern, but there are sight words and they don't actually follow the rule. So I'll show you what we'll do with those too. All right, so I see Jake, Pete, hike. As you can see, they all have that vowel, consonant, E pattern in their spelling. I see again, hike, Jake's, home. And what I'm doing is, even though I'm saying these words out loud, I'm skimming all of the words and asking myself inside my head, is this a long A or a long E, a long I, a long O, or a long U when I'm reading that word? And the reason I bring that up is because I've gotten to this word at the end of this line and I see E, consonant, E. However, if I'm scanning this word, I know it's one of our sight words and the word is where. Where doesn't follow that vowel, consonant, E pattern. So it's one of our high frequency sight words. It's one that we learn and practice in first and second grade. But it doesn't follow that vowel, consonant, E pattern because we're not going to read it as we're. It's not right. So I'm not going to highlight that one. And we're probably going to find another one while we're reading that follows that, that actually breaks the rule. So I'm going to go ahead down to this next sentence. Oh, there it is. And it's actually the word there. So that's another one of our sight words. It's a high frequency word and it's an oddball. It breaks that vowel, consonant, E rule. So I'm not going to highlight it. But I see I'm going to highlight wide, lake, Jake, Pete, take, lake, cape, cane, games, Pete, mile, hike, lake, hike, gate. And that's it for those first two paragraphs. I've found all of the words that I want to highlight that follow the vowel, consonant, E pattern and the rule that it makes the vowel its long sound, which, remember, if we think back to the card pack we practiced, A, apple, is A's short sound, but A, consonant, E, safe, A is the long sound for the vowel A. So we practiced all of those back in the card pack. Now, if I were going to practice my fluency, I would first go through the passage and I would preview all of those words that I highlighted. So with someone who's going to listen to you reading, you can preview the words that you've highlighted by reading them out loud to that person and having them help you check for accuracy or that you're reading them correctly. And then after you've read all of the highlighted words, you would go back to the beginning and you would read the whole passage out loud to them. And you could have your listener time you to see how long it takes you to read that passage on the first try. And then you could read it again to see if you get smoother and quicker. And again, it's not about reading super fast, but it's about reading at a pace where you're recognizing those words quickly so that you can put them together and figure out the meaning of what you're reading, which is really important. That's the whole reason we read, is to learn the meaning so that we learn something from what we read. Now, I did not include this passage in your packet. However, there are many places that you can go onto the internet to download passages. There are Reading A to Z, there's Newsy.LA. There are lots of places where you can find passages appropriate to second grade or even first grade if you need a little extra practice. And you can print them out and then highlight those vowel consonant-y words, do some previewing, and then try to read that passage a couple of times to see if you get better and better at reading it with more accuracy or making fewer mistakes as you go.